Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we are continuing our journey through the final season of The Muppet Show as we watch through 3 more episodes that aired in October of 1980, featuring guests James Coburn, Brooke Shields, and Tony Randall.
It's really feeling like we're watching all things Muppets to me at this point.
Just based on it, we've watched so much Muppet Show that it feels like there's not an end to the Muppet Show.
Yeah, I don't think it's ever going to end. I think we're going to wake up one day and it'll be like, what's that thing where you are in a parallel dimension? The Mandela effect.
Oh,
we'll
gotcha.
wake up and it'll be like, there were 10 seasons of The Muppet Show. What are you talking about? 5 seasons?
Yeah, we'll celebrate the end. We'll watch Muppets and Men, and somebody will be like, oh, here's the next 5 seasons for you guys to watch and talk about. But you know, as much as I do enjoy watching and discussing The Muppet Show, there is something, you know, it's held up on such a pedestal, and I get it, because it is doing a lot of things that just, you know, no one was doing elsewhere on TV, no one had done before on TV, and it's doing it in, like, interesting, fun ways a lot of the times. But also, some of these just suck.
A lot of it's really bad.
Granted, this week, I think we got pretty lucky. This is a pretty good batch of episodes.
This was one of my least favorite batches of episodes.
That's all right. That's going to be a very interesting conversation then, because I was pretty happy with this batch. Aside from
they were so boring.
All right. Well, before we
but
get...
yeah, I agree. Like, some of the stuff we watched before this was so much more inventive and interesting than this has been. Does this get held up on a pedestal because it's just the most accessible thing? Is that what it is?
I think it's just the biggest breakout thing that so many people grew up watching. This was so many people's introduction to the Muppets that this is held up as, like, well, they nailed it. Like, first one out the gate, the best thing they ever did. Here you go. And I think a lot of people either didn't have access to go back and watch the older stuff that we've been now lucky to watch on YouTube and stuff, or it just, you know, wasn't a thing that people were that curious about.
I think also Sesame Street gets overlooked because it's a kid's show, but the skits, like I've said a million times, that we've seen on Sesame Street are much funnier than the skits that we've seen on The Muppet Show, to a large degree, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think it's, you know, I'd be curious, like, I wouldn't be curious to actually do this, but to, like, watch all of Sesame Street and to see, like, what the hit and miss ratio is there as far as, like, are there just as many bad sketches on Sesame Street, but we've just happened to see the best ones because we're watching when they re-air them and reuse them. But if we watched the first run of some of these episodes, maybe we'd see a lot of really bad, boring Sesame Street sketches.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But our sample size of, like, 12... pretty good hit rate on those.
Yeah,
right?
And I think the more we watch from Sesame Street, the more I am on board with that statement of it's just, like, overall, I think written in a funnier way. I don't think it's necessarily, you know, the characters aren't quite as deep. You don't get as much of an insight into who those people might be behind the scenes, but they're definitely funnier. Well, before we get into talking about these clearly divisive episodes today, I want to do a quick little, you know, podcast housekeeping here at the top of the show, because we talk about some of this stuff at the end of the show, but we know, not all of you finish all of our 2-hour-long episodes.
Yeah, I can see the stats when you stop listening. I can't actually, but...
We'll just imagine there's a cliff right there when we say, what else did you watch this week, Sam? But no, I wanted to mention just again that we have things like a Patreon, and we have enamel pins of our Commitment Monster logo, and we have a website called commitment.com where you can go to find all of those things, as well as the latest episodes are there, the episode descriptions. Everything you need is over at commitment.com. But I also wanted to call out the podcast rating system, which, is a good thing to shout out every now and then because supposedly it does something for the algorithms. But I did want to call out just one specific review we got from somebody named I Lost My Marbles from Australia. Said, this quickly became my favorite podcast and has gotten me started with a new hobby, puppet building.
Oh.
60 out of 60 stars. And the title of that review is also, this podcast turned me into a big nerd.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Well, someday if you're a famous puppet builder and you work for Disney or whoever owns the Muppets at the time, think about us, won't you? Have us over, please.
So yeah, just thanks to everyone who has left reviews of the podcast on Apple Podcasts or other places, if that's a thing that you can do on other places. I know not a lot of people a lot of people who listen to this podcast also use things like Overcast and other platforms.
Spotify. You can't do anything on Spotify.
Yeah, I'm a very basic Apple Podcast man. That's where I listen to all my podcasts. So I don't know anything about any of those other platforms. All right, well, we got that little bit of housekeeping out of the way. So let's get into talking about the things we watched this week. So Sam, tell the people what we watched this week.
It's October 11th, 1980 in New York City. And once again, as always, and for what feels like forever, The Muppet Show is on your television. This week, movie tough guy James Coburn is the guest. Why? Who can say? He just is. And James has recognized a kindred angry spirit and animal, so he's decided to take the beastly Muppet under his wing. He shows him how to meditate and introduces him to Zen philosophy, but the chaotic atmosphere of the Muppet Show doesn't lend itself to quiet contemplation or personal growth, so both Animal and James end up smashing gongs and being racist by the end of the episode. Standout moments include The Sexy Bird is back, folks. Betsy Bird, in the Cut on Disney Plus UK spot, does a fun little dance, but the real stars, in my opinion, are her super cute backing band made up entirely of wacky birds with fun hair. Bear on Patrol is slightly better than usual, but is still fairly bad. A standout bad thing is the closing number, which is a square dance set to a mishmash of Japanese and Chinese music, which is both racist and something that I'm pretty sure they've done before. Am I wrong about that?
Yes and no. They kind of did this when Fozzie sang the Yokohama to Oklahoma.
That's what it was,
and that was, I believe, maybe in the Salute to All Countries performance thing they did.
Yeah.
And so it might not be in that episode, but yes, there is a similar thing that happened where they mixed stereotypical Japanese performances with country music.
And also they've done a nasty square dance before where the people are beating each other up or hurting each other.
Well, yeah, that's just a given, though.
James Coburn, who we've already seen in a Muppet movie cameo as the owner of the El Sleazo Cafe, was a movie actor famous for playing tough guys in Western and action films. He appeared in several TV Westerns before his breakout role in The Magnificent Seven. And then after that, he moved entirely to film, it seems like. His wiki bio features a lot of "this film was commercially unsuccessful" addendums, but he was just in like a ton of stuff in the 60s, and I think sort of brute forced his way into stardom. By the 80s, he wasn't really doing a lot anymore, but he was big in Japan from his appearances on TV commercials, which might explain some things about the theme of this episode. I couldn't find anywhere that he does actual like meditation or anything like that, though. That seems like something he brought to it, but...
Yeah, it felt like just a thing people would have known about him, maybe.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell if the joke was that because he's this badass action man, that like him being Zen is funny, or if this was a thing where James Coburn was really into that in real life.
I think it's the former. Is that right?
Yeah.
The first thing you said.
Yeah.
Is that the former?
Yes.
I think it's lost on us because this was 30 years, 40 years, 50 years ago? How long ago was 1980?
Do you want to do the math?
40.
It's 42 years ago.
Well, there you go. Next, teen superstar Brooke Shields becomes the Muppet Show's youngest guest star on October 18th, 1980. For this week's show, the gang has decided to do something a little different and put on a play. Sort of. All of the show's acts revolve around Alice in Wonderland, but not really in any particular order or in a way that makes very much sense. They also went as all in as possible as far as special effects are concerned and recruited Bunsen to make legit shrinking and growing formulas. Those, of course, go horribly wrong, and Brooke ends up shrunken most of the episode and also almost under the shoe of Miss Piggy, who's driven to a homicidal jealousy over the fact that she didn't get to play the lead. Standout moments include a fun little number where Humpty Dumpty sings a bunch of egg jokes, a very well done adaptation of the poem Jabberwocky, and a stunning, star-turning performance by Marvin Suggs as a judge who plays the jurors with his gavel, much like he plays the Muppaphones with his mallet. Brooke Shields is an actor and model, best known at this point in the 80s for sort of weird reasons. She had been in a movie called Pretty Baby a few years prior, at the age of 12, in which she appeared nude several times, and after that, she sort of got pushed into the role of sexy child, appearing this same year in a famous Calvin Klein ad with the tagline, "Want to know what gets in between me and my Calvins? Nothing." And also a few other movies with nude scenes. So yeah, people were doing things a little differently back in 1980. But she's been a working model and actress ever since like the earliest days of her life. I probably know her best as the star of the NBC sitcom Suddenly Susan, and as the fun, trashy neighbor in that show, The Middle. You ever seen that show?
I did watch The Middle. I don't think I've watched it enough to understand that she was in it. I don't think I ever watched those episodes. But I did watch a lot of Suddenly Susan for some reason as a kid.
Me too. Yeah, it was like a big deal when we were kids.
Why did we watch that so much?
Because it was on for 5 years and it got nominated for lots of Emmys and was just like really big, I think. And she was in it. I think my dad liked her also. You know, she's like the age that our dads would have liked her.
I remember on that 70s show too. At a certain point, I think she comes in and she's Jackie's mom on that 70s show.
But yeah, weird life for her.
Yeah, she seems to be doing okay. Like in everything you hear from her now, like she seems to be living an all right life.
Yeah, her Wikipedia is a lot of like her modeling agency and her mom screwed her over in various ways. It seems like, but.
I think, again, like there's a lot to unpack with the career of Brooke Shields, but specifically just like child stars in the 80s in general were treated quite poorly across the board. So that does not surprise me at all that they were like, oh, yeah, she didn't get all the money she deserved. It's like, yep, unfortunately, that was sort of the contracts that were getting handed around back then.
Finally, odd coupler Tony Randall joins the Muppets on October 25th, 1980. While reading a spell book he found in his dressing room as a lark, he accidentally turns Miss Piggy into stone. Unfortunately, this was a Miss Piggy-heavy episode, so her in statue form has to go on stage several times. During the final act, Scooter figures out a spell that turns statues into pigs using the word pigskin, which is a terrible spell because statues all over the world would constantly be turning into pigs, I feel like, if this was the thing. But Piggy goes back to normal. However, she's overheard the word used to do it and gets mad, but Tony distracts her with a football and the Wisconsin fight song for some reason. Standouts include the opening act with a bunch of caveman pigs and what I think is the first Muppet dinosaur we've ever seen. Is that true?
Oh, I don't know. That's a good question, but yeah, I feel like this is definitely the first best dinosaur we've seen on the Muppets.
The first recognizable as a dinosaur.
Maybe, yeah.
That's sort of it. I wasn't a big fan of this one. Tony Randall was, as I mentioned, one of the stars of the TV show The Odd Couple, playing Felix, who was the neat one. He was in lots of other shows and in plays, normal actor stuff, but outside of The Odd Couple, the most notable thing he did, in my opinion, was voice the brain gremlin in Gremlins 2, the smart gremlin, who's kind of like the star of Gremlins 2, like the lead bad guy, kind of. And then right now in the rest of the world in 1980, not really much has been going on, either this batch of episodes or last batch of episodes. The most exciting thing I could find was that David Lynch's The Elephant Man was released. So, pretty sleepy time.
Well, behind the scenes of the Muppets, they're very busy shooting the Great Muppet Caper right now. Basically, all around the dates we've been talking about, they are shooting.
They've wrapped the
scenes.
Muppet Show, right? Is that right?
Yes, I believe in August of 1980 they finished shooting the Muppet Show. So now they are, they're shooting different scenes. Basically, Jim's Journal through October of 1980 is just various like locations that they're shooting at. So, like October 6th, they're shooting Muppet Caper. October 13th, they're shooting the fashion show in Great Muppet Caper. October 21st, they're shooting more exteriors for the Great Muppet Caper. On October 27th, they're shooting in the club scenes of the Great Muppet Caper. But on October 29th, 1980, Jim mentions that he had a dinner at Keats, which is a restaurant in New York, with Peter Orton, Dave L., Jocelyn, and Duncan to discuss Children's International Show, which becomes Fraggle Rock.
Oh, is Dave L. David Laser?
I have to assume so. And Peter Orton is the man who weaseled his way into sitting next to Jim at the christening of Jocelyn's child.
Oh, yeah, right.
Up in Scotland, I believe, when he was like, hey, I got an idea for you. How about you use your international fame and fortune to make a show for kids?
And he was right, wasn't he?
Yeah, it paid
off.
off.
Right to do it.
But yeah, so they're apparently still thinking about Fraggle Rock in the background while they're shooting Great Muppet Caper.
How far off are we from Fraggle Rock?
A few years. 1983, I believe, is when that premieres. All right, well, getting into these episodes, it's a little surprising for me to hear some of the things you liked and disliked, because in some of the cases, they were almost the opposite for me of like what I liked versus what I didn't like in certain episodes. Mostly the Brooke Shields one.
You had mentioned that you really liked the ones you had seen so far when I saw you for the live stream.
Yeah.
And when I was watching these, I was trying to put myself in your shoes, Matt. I was trying to think, what could he possibly like about these?
Yeah, I almost actually so for those that don't know, Sam and I do these Patreon live streams as a part of our Patreon if you sign up exclusively, where we play all the Muppet video games that are all real bad. I almost regretted afterwards telling you how I felt about them in advance, because then you like went in knowing what I felt about them. Hopefully I didn't skew your perception of them in either way. But yeah, it's interesting because I enjoyed this batch pretty much across the board until obviously the end of the James Coburn episode soured that one quite a bit for me.
That takes quite a turn, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it
even starts off kind of like, oh, this is bad, but this is okay. And then by the end, it's like, no, don't talk like that, James Coburn.
Yeah, there's some very generic, offensive fake Japanese that he is singing at one point, and then just starts singing a song that he's changing out lyrics, where he's just dropping in every racial stereotype he could think of into one song pretty much. But this sounds wrong to say after the last instances we just said, but I did give this episode 3.5 stars.
I gave it 2 stars.
Okay. And I think
3.5 isn't a glowing endorsement.
No, but it was basically like,
acceptable.
it was close to like a 4.5 up until the end of the episode for me. I was enjoying all of it, and then it just went off a cliff. But you said, why is James Coburn here? And I think the main reason is because he was in the Muppet movie. And as we alluded to in the past, Jim Henson and him stayed friends. I think they had like Thanksgiving together or something that we had talked about previously.
Yes. He showed up lonely to his home or something like that.
Yeah. Just sopping wet from rain. Just, can I come in?
It's also been so long since we watched the Muppet movie that it's kind of hard to remember that it wasn't that long ago that it came out.
Right, yeah. It's like a little over a year before this episode is coming out. He was on screen in the Muppet movie. He also made a brief appearance in the Muppets Go Hollywood, but again, so did everyone. And we will see him at least one more time in some Muppety things in a documentary called I Love Muppets.
That's cute for him.
Yeah, it was a BBC documentary that they made where they interview people talking about the Muppets, and specifically like people who were involved with the Muppet Show.
Okay, so you saying that did kind of make me think he did seem like he kind of does love Muppets. He does a pretty good job interacting heavily with Animal, which is like, I don't know. I feel like he has more dialogue to Muppets than a lot of other guest stars have had.
I feel like that was sort of this whole batch, I feel like, used the guest stars pretty well, where they actually felt important to the plot of the episode.
That's true.
Where, like, obviously we have James Coburn trying to help Animal. Well, I guess for a while they're just kind of rambunctious together, and then he's eventually trying to help Animal calm down. Brooke Shields is obviously Alice and the whole Alice in Wonderland play they're putting on, and then Tony Randall is has turned Piggy into stone and is trying to hide her throughout the episode.
That one I just didn't like because I didn't feel like he was selling it very well.
Oh, I have such strong disagreement with that, but we'll get to that. At the beginning of this episode, James Coburn shoots at Scooter with his pipe that is concealing a gun, clearly. So the first act of violence in this episode, James Coburn trying to murder Scooter. And who knows? I don't know how Muppets recover from being shot. So,
well, yeah, we do. Cause okay, so either what are those Wilkins and Wonkins commercials?
Oh yeah, I guess Wonkins was shot a lot.
Either those are all parallel universes, and every time we see Wonkins get shot, he is dead.
It's like The Prestige.
Yeah. Or it's like The Prestige, where they just like crack open a new Muppet. They're like, well, he's dead. We have to build a new one. Or they can just regenerate like Wolverine. I think they can regenerate like Wolverine.
I don't know. I kind of like this Prestige theory now. That there's just tanks of Wonkins underneath the stage floor.
They're both good theories. I'm thinking now more like...
both Hugh Jackman.
They are. Hugh Jackman's deeply involved in both.
There's a nice little cute cameo at the beginning of this episode that we haven't seen in a while. Foo-Foo is back.
Yeah.
Foo-Foo, the dog, Miss Piggy's dog, who I feel like was introduced really strongly as like, hey, meet this new character, and then immediately went away.
That is common in the Muppet Show, though, I feel like. Right?
Yeah, but I feel like Foo-Foo got like 3 or 4 episodes there where it was really like, hey, everyone. I guess Beauregard got that too for a while, where Beauregard was like the hot new thing, and now he gets like one line every 3 episodes.
Foo-Foo at least sticks around forever, you know?
That's true.
Of all the unlikely Muppets, side Muppets to stick around, Foo-Foo is one of the top most unlikely.
But Foo-Foo is here because Gonzo plays his trumpet at the end of the theme song, as he always does, but no sound comes out. But Foo-Foo runs up because she heard it.
I thought that was a pretty good gag.
It's pretty good.
I liked it.
Then we have the opening number, which is from the Lamprey Lounge of the Bermuda Triangle Hilton, the Sargasso Bottom Rhythm Boys.
I did not follow what was going on in this one.
It's just an octopus drum line, Sam. What's to follow?
What was Animal so pissed off about?
He was mad that they were playing drums boringly. Because they started playing their drumline thing, and they were playing Temptation, and from the side of the stage, he yells, "Square drums! Bad drums!"
I just couldn't understand what he was saying.
Yeah,
but
he was just upset that they were so dull, because these octopi, or octopuses, I guess is more actually the way you should say it, are not only playing drums, but are also playing kazoos. And to be fair, I think it's impressive puppetry, but it does go on for a while.
A few episodes ago, you said it was impossible for there to be an octopus puppet. Remember that?
Did I? I don't know that I said it was impossible for there to be an octopus puppet. 'Cause I'm pretty sure we talked about that in an episode where there was an octopus puppet.
No, there was an implied octopus puppet, I believe. The one-man band. I don't think we ever saw him, though. And you were like, they couldn't possibly make an octopus puppet.
This feels like something I did not say, considering we also saw an octopus attacking Fozzie in a previous Bear on Patrol.
Check the tapes. They heard you from back in time, and they were like, roll show, Matt. We're going to build every octopus
We're going to have 3 octopuses playing the drums and a kazoo.
Hey, Jim, this kid in 42 years says we can't build an octopus puppet.
All right, we'll show him.
Yeah.
But yes, Animal does yell yucky drums at them before he breaks away from Floyd, who is holding his chain, and starts to pummel the octopuses, which is, the first time in a while we've seen a truly threatening animal.
Yeah. When's the last time? I feel like mostly he's been sleeping and stuff lately.
Yeah, or they kind of implied a threat when he was with Leo Sayer. Because he sort of like tackled him, but he didn't seem actually threatening. He just sort of seemed out of control in a non-threatening way. Like he would run over you, but wouldn't like try to murder you.
This is like the first time we've seen the full force of Animal unleashed, I feel like.
I think this is the most insight we've had into Animal as a character as well.
Yeah, definitely.
But this is James Coburn does volunteer to help Animal with his aggression. At the first time, though, he is showing him how to properly smash a chair because Animal doesn't do it right. And so James Coburn almost takes Animal's head off as he swings a chair across the set.
There's a lot of very dangerous chair work in this episode.
There's also some impressive, I think, accidental chair work at one point in this episode. But, of course, at the end of that segment, when James Coburn smashes the chair, we get a "that's my kind of guy" joke, which is a go-to for the Muppets.
For the hornier characters like Cookie Monster and Animal especially.
Yeah. Then we get a Wayne and Wanda that are not Wayne and Wanda appearing to sing "Close to You."
It deeply upset me that this wasn't Wayne and Wanda.
It almost looks like Wayne in a disguise.
Yeah, it's like a redressed Wayne with hair so ridiculous that it's like it is him trying to get away with something.
Yeah, like Wanda said, "Hey, I told you can't go on that Muppet show again," and he's like, "All right, I won't." And just hand me my blue wig, darling.
I'm going out for smokes.
But yes, they are singing the Carpenters song, like, "Why do birds like long to be so close to you? Why do birds suddenly appear?" All that stuff. And every time they say they long to be close to you, they are magnetized to the female character in the scene.
Yeah, in a classic Wayne and Wanda type bit.
Yeah, no, it seems like a prolonged version of a Wayne and Wanda sketch.
Yeah.
That, it's all right. It's kind of funny, but
I didn't like it.
I think it just goes on like too long.
Yeah. By the time like the weird babies appear at the end, it's like they could have stopped at. Wayne and Wanda would have known when to stop because they would have stopped at stars or birds because there would have been a bunch of birds, and then when he said "close to you," all the birds would have gone rah, 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 and attacked Wanda, and then it would have been over.
Well, and there could have been something actually like harmful as opposed to just like a nuisance, which is this just like a. Yeah, they're just globbing onto her, but not in a way that really affects her that badly. Whereas I feel
These
like
two are rank amateurs.
I was waiting for when he was like saying the stars want to be close to you, that like these shooting stars would just like
ninja star into her.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's not what happens. Then backstage, we find out that Animal and James Coburn are becoming fast friends because of their shared anger issues. And we get a delightful little moment where they are throwing chairs out of their dressing room, and Frank Oz makes a noise that I cannot replicate or capture properly here because it is just the most like noise as he throws a chair. And the chair hangs perfectly and gets stuck on the corner of the set in a way that looks like they would have rehearsed it and tried it 12 times. But I also think it's probably just an accident.
Yeah, I think these chairs are made out of like styrofoam, so it's probably easy for it to just get stuck there. But
it's kind of amazing. Yeah. Like the first time when it happens, you're just like, oh, like I actually rewound it because I thought like there must have been like a wire or something where it was like, or like they reversed the footage or something. But no, it just, they throw this chair, it gets stuck there. They throw another one, and it clearly does what they probably expected the first one to do, which is just bounce off the set.
It's almost a little distracting how well it gets stuck there. Like, I would have maybe done it a second take.
See, I think they probably saw that and went like, obviously we have to use that one. That's so cool.
Yeah.
This was the first point in the episode where I was kind of like, okay. I think I'm not in love with this episode because I realized this is... they kept using the squid pun.
I wrote that down too. 2 squid puns in 2 scenes right next to each other.
Yeah, about an octopus, by the way. They're making squid puns about an octopus. And one is the squid car for Bear and Patrol. And I honestly don't remember the other one.
Something about my wife and squids.
That's right. That's what it was. Yes.
What the whole joke was.
It just was like the second time I heard it.
It's
I was
close
like, it's
enough.
the same joke. Like
it's close enough. Come on.
It's like 30 seconds afterwards. Like they just like made the same joke twice. I think the fact that like if they had made those jokes like one at the beginning and one at the end of the episode, it would have bothered me a lot less. But because they were like back to back jokes, I was just like, oh, is this episode like edited differently than you thought it was going to be? Did you
maybe Fozzie heard Statler and Waldorf say it and then just stole the joke, you know?
I mean, that's a perfectly, I could see that happening, but I feel like somebody would have to call it out. I'd be like, hey, I think I heard that somewhere already. And then it's time, Sam. It's time for, as you referred to her, the distressingly sexy bird, Betsy Bird, who is here to dance in a club For the club goers, we alluded to the fact that we thought Betsy Bird was invented to be a sexy bird. And
Yeah.
it's
we're
very
right.
clear now that we were right.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, Betsy Bird will be our Muppet of the Week this week, so we'll talk more about her even later. But for now, we get to see the Muppets in Gonzo's Club Mildew, whistling and hooting and hollering at Betsy Bird as she puts on a little show. I love the Electric Mayhem's suits in this scene.
Yeah, they looked great.
And I also
They
love
brought Trumpet
Gonzo's...
Lady with them too.
Yeah, and I also love Gonzo's mob boss performance in this.
It's funny that Gonzo always plays the villains like that.
Yeah, he's Darth Nader,
so
he's a mob
ill-suited
boss.
for it.
But I feel like he's the most committed. He's the most committed, but also the worst choice most of the time.
Yeah,
Whereas if you get
that's true.
Piggy, she's going to be legitimately menacing and terrifying, and Fozzie is not going to be good at performing and playing that he's the
No.
bad guy.
He'll
So
just be flop
Gonzo's
sweating the whole time.
the perfect middleman, the perfect middle ground there of just
Yeah.
fully committed to playing the bad guy, but also not threatening at all. A delightful moment in this, James Coburn shows up to the club, and they won't let him in, so he breaks through the door with his fist and reaches in and unlocks the knob.
Okay, I like that part too.
Well, that part's fine, but the doorman specifically after that says, "Hey, don't do that. It might be bad for the door." Once James Coburn has confronted Gonzo, he has a violin case with him that everyone assumes has a gun inside because he's obviously there to,
Some kind of mobster guy.
Yeah.
Shoot him up.
and he's already beaten up a few other characters in the scene.
He beats him up great. Very similar to how whoever it was beating up the rabbits,
Yeah.
where he's like ripping the puppets off of people's arms.
Alan
and
Arkin,
flinging them
yeah.
around.
You can see the moment when it transfers from being puppeteered to ragdoll being thrown across the stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think James Coburn's acting in this scene is great. Like, he seems fully committed to acting against Gonzo in this scene. But the payoff is that he does not have a gun in the violin case. He has a flute because he wants to join the band.
Piccolo he's dancing around with. Were you nervous when he was pulling on Gonzo's nose so hard?
He did. Not only does he pull on Gonzo's nose, he uses it as a can opener.
Yeah. But I always thought Gonzo's nose looks like it's very delicate.
Well,
I
and
guess
that's
you can give
the
it a
real
good
question is Gonzo's nose. Is there bones in there?
It must be hard on the end because he does open a can with it.
Well, and I think a lot of people have just seen it as sort of a fleshy cartilage protrusion for a long time because there are times where he twists it and winds it up and all this stuff. But then I know there was some debate when the Muppets Haunted Mansion movie was coming out because they put out this casino coin thing that had a skeleton of Gonzo on it,
yeah.
and it had a nose bone situation happening there. So it confirmed that, at least as the most recent canonical thing, Gonzo has bones in that nose.
Yeah, I think that adds up. And Muppets do. I would argue that Muppets don't have bones, but we've seen Kermit in a little cast before. So they do obviously have bones.
Just thinking about, Rolf's skeleton as compared to Fozzie's skeleton.
They would probably look pretty similar.
I know, he's got that tall skull, Fozzie does.
Oh, yeah, he's got a pear-shaped
I feel like Rolf's skeleton would just look like Ernie's skeleton. Well, now I'm just thinking that Rolf and Ernie are essentially the same puppet, just with different ears.
What do you mean? Their faces look the same?
Yeah, they're the same shape. They have the same eyes. Rolf and Ernie are the same.
Gosh, you know what? This is a stunning realization. Oh my gosh. Ernie's nose is a little different.
Well, yes, the nose, obviously, one's got a dog nose that you want to
Not as
bite.
biteable.
Yeah.
But they do have the same exact eyes.
I'm trying to see if Ernie ever dressed up as a dog on Sesame Street, because I have to assume he just has. And all I'm getting are very cute / horrifying images of dogs in Ernie costumes.
Dogs dressed like Ernie. What a weird thing to dress your dog as. They are scary. Because his eyes is like, I have a dog coming out of my mouth and I'm in horror. Or like it's his skin and a dog has grown huge inside of him.
Yeah, he accidentally swallowed a dog somehow, and as the dog grew, it murdered him from the inside.
Yeah.
I mean, they're both early Don Celine designs.
Yeah.
Only created a few years apart, so that kind of makes sense. But yeah, I don't know if there's any fan art of those two hanging out, but I do feel like there's, something to that of I feel like there's got to be a dog Ernie out there.
I think they'd be really good friends too.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
Ernie would go to the bar where Rolf works a lot and just have a couple drinks and shoot the shit with his friend Rolf, you know?
And then we have the first thing in this batch of episodes that is not available to watch on Disney+. It is the UK spot featuring Betsy Bird again. 2 sketches in a row for Betsy Bird. And also, Betsy Bird's only 2 sketches.
Oh, and the whole show?
Ever.
Huh.
Yeah. So if you don't watch this little extra number on YouTube or elsewhere, you will only have seen half of what Betsy Bird brings to the Muppet Show. But yeah, she's out there dancing around, just dancing, showing off some of Betsy Betos's amazing dance moves. Again, we'll talk about Betsy, the bird, and the woman later on, more in our Muppet of the Week segment. But
Kermit even comes out and like says her name, which I feel like is pretty rare.
well, I mean, when you have similar to Fletcher Bird, like when you have characters that were created specifically to highlight one performer's skills,
Yeah,
I feel like it makes sense that they highlight that person.
that's true.
It's just a bummer that it was buried in the UK spot. But yeah, I think it's just a delightful little dance number. And at the end, Rolf has been there the whole time. I didn't even realize it. He's just playing piano
No.
for this.
He's not a bird.
Yeah, I guess birds playing piano is kind of a harder to sell.
I suppose, or they just didn't want to build a bird live hand puppet. They didn't have one sitting around or something.
It makes me feel like we haven't seen Sam the Eagle in a while. Speaking of birds,
Yeah.
not that I think he should have come in and played piano or anything, but I don't think we've seen him in season 5 yet, or at least hasn't played a big part in season 5 yet.
Is that not, we didn't get the big info dump about him this season?
I think that was season 4.
Huh.
I think that's season 4 when he's, I think it's the last episode of season 4, when he's talking about his divorce and his children and all that.
Yeah, we haven't seen him this season yet. You're right.
Wild.
Yeah, maybe Kermit was like worried about him and said, "You got to go on sabbatical for a while, buddy."
Yeah. You maybe need to go to spend some time with your kids.
Yeah, you have some stuff to figure out.
Then we have something I did not enjoy, but Sam did. It's Bear on Patrol.
Oh, I didn't enjoy it. I just thought it was slightly better than normal Bear on Patrols are.
Gotcha. Okay. Giving it too much credit.
Yeah.
There is a banana-nosed Maldonado who is a criminal on the loose who, as usual on Bear on Patrol, easily convinces these cops that he is not who they believe he is.
Yeah.
They're very good at capturing criminals, it turns out. They're very bad at keeping criminals.
Yeah. That makes me think I do wish that Bear on Patrol took place outside of this police station more often or something. Like he could be busting people for like goofy crimes. I want to see him busting the people for the goofy crimes that they're doing.
Similar to a lot of the recurring sketches on The Muppet Show, sometimes they're a little too predictable or a little too repetitive in the way they are. And I get like they change it up from time to time where they're like, okay, let's not do Vet's Hospital for a while because everyone knows this is just like our pun dump.
Yeah.
But I feel like Bear on Patrol is one of those where neither Link nor Fozzie are particularly funny in them.
No.
To a level that makes me go like, all right, well, maybe this one will be good.
Yeah, and all of their normal sketches pretty much seem very well suited to have the guest star of the week show up in them. Like, why not be arresting James Coburn?
Yeah, that'd be
But
good.
there must be a reason. There's just like, takes too long to film these, and they would rather film more interesting stuff with the guest stars, I guess. But I don't know. He's a tough guy. He's a professional tough guy. Arrest him.
Yeah, or they could do what they do occasionally with Vet's Hospital, where they bring in the celebrity guest to be like a guest doctor, like Christopher Reeve did.
Yeah.
James Coburn would play a cool like police chief or something. Like you could bring him
Yeah.
in to like straighten up this precinct. But no, it's mostly just criminals getting caught and then escaping very easily.
It's just Banana Nose Maldonado.
Who I can't imagine we'll ever see again.
I just liked it because that's a fun name.
But he is named that, Sam, because he has a banana for a nose.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
it.
he sure does. That's fine. There's flimsier Muppet characters than that, don't you think?
I don't know if there is. It's not a trait we have seen of any other Muppet, I don't think. That's just like they have fruit for a nose.
Oh, they stole this name from a book also.
Yeah.
So, okay, never mind.
I think it's called a reference. I don't know if it's called stealing.
The character's name in the book is Banana Nose Maldonado, though.
Yeah.
I think that's closer to stealing than just a reference.
No, they just took it and made it literal. Like they do with the songs where they're like, okay,
Sure.
this guy's nickname is Banana Nose, but
They're
I'm
stealing
sure.
all those songs, too.
Yeah. They're the Napster of their day.
Yeah.
I also, you know what, Sam? We are going to see Banana Nose Maldonado again.
We are?
There's an animated version of him in a Little Muppet Monsters segment for some unknown reason. And also he will appear in one of the Muppet Show comic books, which makes a little bit more sense because those comics get a lot of like very deep cut references in them. But the fact that he gets animated at some point is wild. But we've been avoiding it for so long here, Sam. It is the end of the James Coburn episode. It is time for James Coburn and Animal to meditate and relax and be serene, which seems, like it's going okay because James Coburn's talking about how there's too much violence in entertainment and he'd like to do something more enlightened and more serene. But then he turns that into asking Kermit if they can do a salute to Japan.
Yes, and when he said this, I said, please don't let him.
Yeah, and Kermit tries because he says they've already got a Cowboys set. They've already got the props and the actors and everything ready for Cowboys. But then, luck would have it, the Japanese Tai Chi Karate and Chowder Society's bus breaks down outside the theater, and Scooter sees this as an opportunity to bring them in and let them help out the show.
Thanks, Scooter.
Yeah, thanks for nothing, Scooter. So we get the salute to Japan, which is obviously a degrading, offensive, stereotype-laden salute to Japan. And it's basically, if you break it down, it's Animal trying to remain calm and not play the gong too hard.
And that part's great.
Yeah, no,
if
you just look at the part of Animal at first hitting this gong really, really hard, that's fine because James is like, hey, no, serene, calm down. And then Animal does this cute little thing where he like barely touches the gong and then leans in real quick to listen to it.
Yeah, it's an all-star Animal Frank Oz performance. And it's a great concept for an episode and a sketch, but well, boy.
Yeah, then we get the stereotypical Japanese Muppets who come in. And at first, there was still part of me going, maybe this is as bad as it gets. Maybe it's just the stereotypical puppets, which they've done before, that are also not good, but like maybe they're not going to actually have them speak or sing about them in offensive ways. But no, unfortunately, we are not that lucky. And yes, it is. Nope, it's just bad.
It's just nasty.
Yeah. I guess it's worth mentioning that in that sketch, it does turn into a square dance, which I think we kind of touched on earlier, but just like that's sort of the actual payoff to it. And that's what leads to the like swing your partner do-si-do, and then it would be like say something about egg foo young because that's what he was tossing out there.
Yeah, it is kind of funny when the cowboy pokes his head in and he's like, you're dying out there, James. You gotta let us come do our square dance.
Yeah. So let's move on to an episode that you can't really watch.
You can't if you're friends with Matt.
Yeah.
Or you have a specific DVD.
Yeah, so the next episode that aired on October 18th, 1980 was the Brooke Shields episode of The Muppet Show. And this is one of two episodes that are not on Disney+. The only thing I could really find about this is that they attribute it to music rights. It is not clear what song in this, because there's a handful of songs that are sung in this that could be the issues for the music rights that we'll get to. But it is apparently due to music rights that they could not clear. So maybe one day they'll fix that and get this episode up on Disney+. But for now, the only places you can watch the Brooke Shields episode of The Muppet Show are on the Volume 8 Best of the Muppet Show DVD, which is how Sam and I watched it. Or if you use archive.org, you can go over there and search Brooke Shields Muppet Show, and it should pop up.
You can also find it mirrored on Daily Motion.
Yeah, but I think the archive.org version is probably ripped from the DVD we have, so yeah. I think it's a pretty good quality version of it. But yeah, what did you rate this episode, Sam?
I gave this one 3 stars.
I gave this one 5 stars.
Hachi Machi.
I loved it. It's good. That's my review. It's good. First, we should probably note that we will see and talk about Brooke Shields again on this podcast. She'll be in the Muppets Take Manhattan. She added a recipe to Miss Piggy's In the Kitchen with Miss Piggy book for vegetable health soup.
Vegetable help?
Health.
Oh, okay.
Both confounding.
Yeah.
But yes, I have that cookbook and have yet to make anything from it. But maybe vegetable
Yeah,
health
because we
soup.
got to stream it.
Yeah, we should. But we have to be... Oh, my stomach just growled very loudly. All right. I'm thinking too much about Miss Piggy's cookbook.
Vegetable help soup.
And in 2001, Brooke Shields even went and performed with Kermit on stage for the Muppet Show Live that they did, where she dressed up as Miss Piggy and sang Never Before, Never Again. And yes, Brooke Shields was only 14 at the time, so there was child labor laws, obviously. And so she could not work as much as a standard guest star would. But apparently, the way that they, I guess she just couldn't be on set acting because she spent her spare time, apparently, in the Muppet Workshop helping to build some puppets.
Yeah, building puppets.
Which just seems like a different kind of child labor. But yeah, I guess right out the bat, Sam, what overall maybe did you not like about this episode? Is it the concept? Is it the Alice in Wonderland play? 'Cause we've seen episodes like this in the past, whether it's Robin Hood or the show is broken because it's been taken over by pigs. The show is different this week. Enjoy.
I really don't. I think I just thought it was a little bit boring. I liked it better than the Robin Hood one that they did, because that was even more boring. Yeah, it was just, I think it was a lot of fluff, and then with a few really great highlights, like the Jabberwocky, or the trial scene with Marvin Suggs, and the Falling song I thought was really good. But then it's just kind of the connective tissue of it I didn't think was very interesting.
I almost feel like this is something, and maybe you don't feel this way because you didn't love it. I wish this was an hour long.
Maybe that's also part of it. Is I wish it had been actually the story,
right.
in order, or I wish it had held together better. Because I think this was when I was thinking of myself in the audience being what are they doing? What is this?
Well, I think specifically, too, near the end, they talk about the Mad Tea Party sketch at one point, and talk about how they're going to have to skip it because, at the time, Brooke Shields is either too big or too small. I don't remember which one. But it just seems like they're going to move on and go through the story. But then at the end, they're oh, let's just do the Mad Tea Party sketch now. And so it seems a little bit, counterintuitive to this idea of putting on the story of Alice in Wonderland.
It might have also been funny if she had been giant and just her big legs stomping around in the act, or had been tiny and been I'm tiny in some of the acts. Yeah,
she could have hung out with the scariest dormouse that's ever been seen. But there is a lot of fun
really
special
confusing
effects.
Dormouse. There are a lot of questions about that.
There's a lot of troubling visuals throughout this entire episode. Maybe that's why they keep it off Disney Plus. They're no one can see Dr. Teeth as the Cheshire Cat.
There was one, that in particular was I thought about that too hard for the rest of the episode.
Yeah, because, so there's throughout this episode, we see a lot of our Muppet favorite characters dressed up as characters for this performance of Alice in Wonderland. So we see Floyd as the caterpillar, and we see Scooter and Ralph as two of the people from the Jabberwocky poem. And so Gonzo is the Mad Hatter. But all of them sort of look like, their normal selves kind of in a costume. Dr. Teeth has the body of a cat. He just has a cat body.
No. The form factor of Dr. Teeth's body is not present at all. He is just tiny little, maybe Gaffer's body? I'm not sure.
Yeah, they just, in an unaired vet's hospital, they just Frankensteined Dr. Teeth and Gaffer together.
Yeah. And there is even a behind the scenes where, behind the UK spot, Fozzie is talking to Dr. Teeth, but he does call him the Cheshire Cat. So I think it's possible that the Cheshire Cat in this reality just has Dr. Teeth's head,
I think I'm more okay with that reality as opposed to Dr. Teeth's body being transplanted.
Yeah.
And we get the both cute and violent White Rabbit performed by Steve Whitmire here, sounding like an angrier Bean Bunny.
Yeah, using a mean Bean Bunny voice.
I like that whenever they have a bunny, they're just Steve will do it.
This guy sounds just like a rabbit. And he does. They're not wrong.
Oh, no, he's the perfect rabbit. But he is, doing the traditional I'm late thing for a while. And then when Kermit calls him out, he turns to Kermit and says, "Tell me where the rabbit hole is or I'll tear your head off."
Yeah, I like this guy.
You know, I think he's a great little through line. But again, it does muddy the waters of like, okay, is this the actual story of Alice in Wonderland? Because he seems really committed to this bit. Maybe he's just a method actor.
Yeah, like reality is warping in some uncomfortable way here.
Maybe he's just the Jared Leto of the Muppets.
Yeah.
But then we get Alice, played by Brooke Shields, doing the normal, you know, reading by a tree thing that Alice's do at the beginning of their story.
Classic. She's known to do that. That's all you could do in old British times, though, really.
So I'm going to go reading. By the reading tree? Of course.
Where else would I read?
Yeah. That's why we planted that tree 300 years ago.
You mean by the bottomless pit? Yeah. By the bottomless pit.
Yeah, the reading pit. There's a nice little joke before the white rabbit jumps down his hole, or Alice is being a little sarcastic to him, and he says, "I hate smart Alices," which
yeah,
is cute. But then you mentioned the falling song. This is the point at which Alice falls down the rabbit hole, seemingly forever. And there's a nice little song called "The Falling Song" that Scooter and the Cheshire Cat and Alice and a whole bunch of Muppets sing as they fall down the hole. And it sounds like it would be a real song, like an actual song, maybe like even from a production of Alice in Wonderland or from, you know, that they did a parody of. And I looked it up, and no, this is an original song written by Ray Charles, who is not that Ray Charles.
Not that Ray Charles.
The other Ray Charles, for The Muppet Show. So unless it's like an homage parody that I don't recognize, I believe this is an original song they wrote, and it's one of, I think, the best original songs they've ever had on The Muppet Show.
They've had, I think we talked about this offline, but they've had very few original songs.
Yeah, it's not something they do very often, but I guess they wanted to flex those muscles with this original production.
Yeah, it is quite good. It's like a nice song and also funny because it has funny little jokes from Brooke.
Well, even Dr. Teeth's terrifying cat, they say, like, don't be surprised if you meet Captain Hook, because our version won't always follow the book.
Yeah. Yeah, you said it kind of presaged, like, stuff from their movies. Like it's kind of the first song in Muppets. Great Muppet Caper is, like, hanging a lampshade on everything that's going to happen in the movie.
Yeah, I think it is definitely... and I think a lot of people have called this out, that this feels like things that they'll do later in the Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Wizard of Oz. This feels like sort of the first time they're sort of getting that right, like that formula of adapting a thing and having somebody play a role in it, which obviously, again, they have done with Robin Hood and other things, but I feel like this is more successful than that one.
I also kind of like the through line of her being pretty sure that she's going to just splatter when she hits the ground.
I also like that Buster the Crab, the devil, and a talking jar of marmalade.
Two devils, actually. The devil's there twice.
Yeah, but they're falling down this hole with her.
Yes.
What do you think of Piggy's plotline in this episode?
Another thing that really took me out of this was later on when she's sneezing. Why is she sneezing?
Oh, she's trying to murder Brooke Shields.
But what does sneezing have to do with it?
She's just trying to hide the fact that she's bouncing around.
Oh,
she's trying to step on Brooke Shields because at the time Brooke Shields has shrunk. And so she's trying to pretend like, oh, I sneezed and I moved when I sneezed, so I must have accidentally stepped on Brooke Shields.
Okay, well, now I'm thinking about it more. Miss Piggy being so jealous would have been a cool thing to tie into it more, like, because she would be the Queen of Hearts, so she would just be like the bad guy of the play anyway. It's just so sporadic that... I don't know. There's just a lot going on here.
And I think that's that thing again where it's like if this could have been longer or more focused on like if everything they had a little bit more time to build out those moments, I think you're right that Miss Piggy would have made a great foil throughout the episode as opposed to just like showing up a few times to be like, I get one line? What the hell?
Yeah. And I guess the point of the show is not to have a storyline exactly, but I think it would have helped me in this situation.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. That like, if she slowly sort of becomes the Queen of Hearts in action as well as role, I think that could have helped.
Because it would have been fun in the end at the court scene if Marvin was going nuts and Piggy was like, yes, blood, more blood.
Floyd is concerned that he has to wear a jive caterpillar costume.
I don't blame him. He looks like an idiot.
He's got two big feathers on his head. Yeah. But Kermit, of course, threatens to fire him. And Floyd's like, shit, okay. Then I'll go do the dumb caterpillar thing. Apparently, Kermit is too busy, I guess just threatening to fire Floyd. So Scooter comes out to introduce the next scene from Alice in Wonderland.
I think he's trying to give Scooter a chance.
Maybe, but Scooter blows yeah, Scooter blows it immediately because Scooter's introduction is exactly what I just said. He comes out and says, "Hey, it's the next scene from Alice in Wonderland." And Kermit comes out. Huh?
He doesn't have much to work with, really.
No, but as Kermit says, like you can let the audience know what's coming, Sam. You got to say, "Hey, it's Alice and the Caterpillar," not just "It's the next thing."
And you got to wave your arms.
Yes, you have to do the Kermit flail. But we do get the caterpillar scene next, where Floyd is playing the caterpillar. Did you pick up on something in this scene, Sam, that might be another inspiration for a certain video game creator?
Super Mario?
Yeah.
Well, he already said that Alice in Wonderland is... No, but is there something more specific?
It's the growing mushrooms.
Yeah. That's a known quantity.
Well, yeah, but I'm just trying to help you out with your theory here that Shigeru Miyamoto is fully
is a
influenced.
rip-off artist and has totally stolen all of his ideas.
From the Muppet Show specifically, yes. And that one 7-Eleven commercial we watched one time.
Oh, okay. So you're positing that he never even heard of the book Alice in Wonderland.
Correct.
And this is the first time he saw it. And
yeah.
he's like,
He saw Floyd say,
okay.
eat those growing mushrooms. And he's like, growing mushrooms?
Let me write this down in my book right under 7-Eleven Mario and Koopa. Yes, it's all coming together now.
And that
quite
weird
nicely.
caterpillar who's walking through the rain in the one episode. I'll use him later. Yeah, no, I'm on board with your theory, Sam. Is what I'm saying.
No, now it makes sense. I didn't consider that he'd never heard of the book Alice in Wonderland, but that makes sense.
Yeah, why would you not consider that? Even though he specifically mentioned it as an influence.
He looked it up later. Maybe he heard it at the beginning of this.
Maybe he's just covering his bases because like Alice in Wonderland is public domain, so he's just like, yeah, I took that from a public domain thing.
Or he kept going around being like, you remember, that Muppet Show story, Alice in Wonderland? And then somebody eventually was like, buddy, that's a book. It's an old book.
It's like, what? I can read more of that story? All right. And this is the point where the Mad Tea Party is supposed to be next, but Brooke got too big because she ate too many mushrooms. And as Gonzo said, too many mushrooms, they'll do it every time. She seems to be about 20 to 30 feet tall at this point because her very large legs walk through the backstage set. So they need to stall, and this is where they send out Humpty Dumpty to perform These Are the Yolks, folks.
I love this shit.
This is like my one thing I didn't like in this episode.
This was the one thing that I thought was actually funny. I think my problem with the rest of it was stuff was happening, but I wasn't laughing.
Okay.
But this guy, I like this guy. He's got it.
I do like that when he goes out on stage, Kermit asks Link, is he wearing a tie or a belt?
What's he look like? Is he wearing a tie or a belt?
He's an egg, obviously, but halfway across him, there is like a bow tie with like a little either belt or tie. So
that's like a how would a horse wear pants kind of question.
Yeah, how would an egg wear a tie or a belt?
He kind of is dressed like Eggman from Sonic as well.
I mean, if you got an Eggman, there's only so many ways to dress an Eggman.
There's only so many ways to dress the Eggman.
But yeah, it's a lot of just, terrible rhymes and stretched thin puns.
They worked in the word albumin.
Which I had to look up. I was like, I think that's like protein or something, right?
It's like an egg thing, I guess.
Yeah.
People in 1980 were smarter than people are now.
Well, because the first little pun they make is a Hamlet omelet joke.
That's pretty highbrow as well.
I'm on board with that one, but when he's like, I recorded a record albumin, I'm just like, whoa, okay, that's a stretch.
No, it's great.
But of course he falls to his death, presumably.
Yeah. He's killed by Thunderbolt Paint or whatever that guy's name is.
Yeah,
the red-eyed horse.
The red-eyed horse comes in and tramples him to death.
Stomps him even more. What's going on there?
He's just a
He
bad...
hated the song too, just like you did.
They go back to the dressing room where Brooke Shields is too big. She's still too big. She's back in her dressing room, and they bring in Bunsen.
Bunsen is being sassy as hell in this scene as well.
Well, I mean, this is I think he's defensive because this is his fault.
Yes, he made the potion.
Yeah, but I think there's a lot of interesting visual effects just throughout this episode of like when she has to grow and shrink. They obviously had to build like a miniature dressing room set that she could look gigantic in. They had to figure out a way to make her walk through the set with her giant legs in a convincing way. So.
It does look pretty good too.
Yeah, I think I think it's a shame that like this episode that I feel like they've put more work into than almost any other episode as far as like building new different sets, having to do a lot of special effects, building entirely new puppets that are like like amalgamations of other puppets, just feels like it's a shame that this is one of the episodes that no one can watch.
I was talking about this the other day, but special effects from this era are kind of fun because I was watching the Ewok movies, you know?
Yeah, of course.
And the special effects in that are bad, but they're like pretty much as good as the ones from Star Wars because you could really only do so much stuff. And it was like stop motion or the thing where you like cut out a picture of an X-Wing and make it go wee wee around the screen. So these look good in a similar way where they're like as good as you could get in the 70s. And everybody was perfectly happy with that.
Yeah, no, I think that, like, again, there's something about the practicality of them actually using miniatures in a lot of these things that I think helps it. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a miniature set or just like a bigger set to make her look tiny or big. And I think there is something to that you can forgive a little easier when you're watching it as opposed to like an Uncanny Valley CGI character sometimes where it's just like it gets so close to being human that it looks inhuman. Whereas this is like they're not trying to make us believe that Brooke Shields actually shrunk. Yeah.
And at least she has a human face and light is like hitting her in a natural way that your brain isn't going, what the hell?
Yeah. And then we get maybe one of the issues when it comes to music rights in this episode. Next up, we get the UK spot, which is Dr. Teeth and Fozzie. Dr. Teeth is trying to cheer up Fozzie and sings...
Hard to cheer somebody up when you're a horrible abomination.
Yeah. You want to be happier? Look away.
Think about how much pain I'm in, and then you'll feel better.
But he's still able to play piano, thankfully. And they sing a medley of When You're Smiling, Smiles, Put on a Happy Face, My Mammy, and Happy Days Are Here Again. And yeah, I think, like, you know, it could be one of these songs that is tripping up the music rights. But I also think, because it's the UK spot, they could have just cut it out if this was the problem point.
Yeah, that is weird. Because they have done that before. They cut out something in something we watch later.
In both of the episodes we watched this week, aside from this one, there were scenes cut out, presumably for music rights issues. But that's what makes me think that it's the song at the end of this episode that is actually the issue, and why they didn't just cut out the scene that it's in.
I really like this part because I like to see Dr. Teeth get a couple more things to do. I feel like his niche and Rolf's niche need to be more separated, but I'm not sure what exactly that would be, except like Dr. T's a more manic version of Rolf. He has the same eyes as Rolf too, almost. He just has sunglasses on. But I loved at the end of this when Fozzie, they sing him a bunch of happy songs, and at the end Fozzie's like, I'm so depressed.
Yeah, it did not work. Normally we see the cheer up songs do their job. This one did nothing.
Immune to them now.
Maybe because he was staring at the terrifying cat, Dr. Teeth.
Yeah. Everybody else doesn't need cheer up songs as much as they used to. Like Gonzo's kind of accepted himself. Kermit's kind of taken things less personally. Fozzie, on the other hand, he hasn't gotten under no character growth at all. He's gotten worse and worse as the show has gone on.
I mean, as Frank Oza's character note for Fozzie says, Fozzie's the only one without a key to the theater. Like, they just keep him on the outside. Like, he is the only one that is like, oh yeah, Fozzie, you're definitely part of the crew. We all love you and support you. Sorry, we gotta go. Weird. No.
We actually don't have time for your stand-up routines this week.
Yeah. Was your open mic last night? Oh, shit. I'm so sorry. I thought it was tonight. I can come tonight. I couldn't have made it last night. I'm so sorry.
Oh, God. That's too sad.
He's a sad bear.
Yeah.
And next we have, maybe if you show this out of context to somebody, the most confounding, weird Muppet thing we've ever seen. Which is even introduced that way. Scooter says this is the weirdest thing we've ever done on this show, which might not actually be true.
I would push back on that because this is an adaptation of a well-known poem. That is not weird. It just is a weird poem, but it's weirder to have a bunch of pigs dressed like cavemen singing yakety yak. Don't you think?
I don't know. We'll put out a poll.
It's weirder to have a bunch of octopuses playing the drums.
All right. Well, you got me there. This is the adaptation of the Jabberwocky poem, which I feel like nerdy kids that I went to high school with would recite often to show that they were cool and knew the words to it. I mean, when I say those nerdy kids, it was literally my best friend. So, not meaning to pick on anyone. I'm picking specifically on my best friend who would do that. And yeah, this is, again, a lot of very impressive puppets that seem to be like built specifically for this scene.
Yeah, especially the Jabberwock.
Oh yeah, he's never coming back. But this,
he's got pretty limited usage.
Yeah, I don't know what else you would do with that puppet. This whole scene, I do think, is pretty good. Like, Rolf especially is very animated and very much like a throwback to his Jimmy Dean days with his performance in this.
He really is.
In a way that we don't get to see him very often.
Yeah, and you mentioned that if you could showing this to somebody out of context, I think would work really well for this. I think it does stand by itself as just a little,
Yeah, I think it could be impressive, but I think it would also be the thing of like, if you're not super familiar with the Jabberwocky story, there's a lot happening in here that you're just a little bit lost on, I think.
I'd argue that that's the point of the poem.
I don't know enough about the poem to argue what the point of the poem is. But the Jabberwock is performed by Dave Goelz, and I realized sounds a bit like Uncle Traveling Matt from Fraggle Rock. But yeah, I'm not sure which puppets in this scene, but this is the scene that apparently Brooke Shields helped build some of the puppets for.
Yeah, at the beginning of the episode of the DVD, is it Brian?
It's Brian Henson, yeah.
He mentions the name of the puppet she helped build, but I couldn't quite figure out which one of them it was.
Yeah, one of the weird random animals that's dancing around in the background, I assume.
I was looking for like a shittier looking one, but they all looked good.
Like, they let a child build that one.
Yeah, either she was good at building puppets or they were lying about her helping.
I mean, they could have also, had her trim some like fur on a puppet, and then they actually did the actual building and everything. So you can help out in different ways. Then backstage, we have the moment that we were talking about earlier where Piggy is trying to pretend to sneeze so that she can crush Brooke. But of course, she does not actually murder Brooke Shields.
No, that would be quite a grim ending to the episode. And to Piggy's career, she'd be in jail. You can kill other Muppets, but you can't kill humans. Sorry.
No, that's not allowed. But then it's time for the courtroom and Judge Marvin Suggs.
I was so delighted to hear his name.
I just like that he's pulled out for this role specifically because he gets to be so unhinged.
Yeah.
And
I love that they treat him like you know who he is. Every time he comes out, it's just like, here's Marvin.
He's been on the show like 3 times. And
yeah,
like, our old friend Marvin Suggs.
Years. Yeah. But it does kind of feel like Frank is like excited every time he gets to be Marvin.
Oh, yeah, because he's basically he's like a more eloquent animal. Like, he's just as chaotic and just as like disturbing the plot and upsetting things and disagreeing with people around him, but he gets to do it in like a slightly more eloquent way.
Yeah, and he's more evil than Animal too. I think Animal ultimately is capable of friendship and loyalty.
Right.
I don't think Marvin is capable of any of that.
No, he has burned all his bridges.
Yeah.
But then to close out the show, it is time for the previously postponed Mad Tea Party sketch, where we get some very good Gonzo as the Mad Hatter.
Mm-hmm.
And we also get a perplexing Camilla.
Camilla?
The Dormouse. It looks just like Camilla, but with mouse teeth and mouse ears, and is a dormouse, and is performed by Jerry Nelson actually speaking words.
And talks.
So not Camilla, just presumably a chicken dormouse.
But they have a lot of other chicken puppets. Why did they use the Camilla puppet?
I don't know. It's terrifying, though, and I don't really like it.
And why wasn't Rizzo the dormouse?
They have another mouse in a teapot 2 feet to the right of this one, and for some reason, that's not the dormouse.
This would have been the best intro to Rizzo ever.
Yeah, instead we just get him in a fancy little cape that he's wearing, just hanging out in another teapot for some reason.
Thinking the same thing we are. It's like, why did anybody ask me to take this role?
So Muppet Wiki says that Rizzo is playing the wizard.
Okay.
When they start singing, because that's the whole thing, is at the end of this, they're trying to figure out a way to wrap up the sketch, and they can't think of a way. So Fozzie starts singing, "We're Off to See the Wizard," from The Wizard of Oz. And it says here on Muppet Wiki that Rizzo is the wizard.
I guess I could see that.
I think it's a stretch, unless there's like something said quickly in that sketch that I didn't pick up on. But But yeah, that's I think that's probably what is the copyright music rights issue is the song "We're Off to See the Wizard."
Right.
That is an NG.
Pretty hard to cut that out of the episode.
Yeah, and so I think that's probably why this episode is not on Disney Plus. It's because the payoff number of the entire thing is a song owned by MGM.
I know musical artists got to get paid, but music rights in TV shows are so goofy. Like they had to change the freaking beginning theme of "I Don't Want to Wait for My Life to Be Dawson's Creek." They had to change the freaking intro music to that to put it on Netflix.
Yes. It is always wild when a theme song specifically gets changed because you're just like, all right, time to sit down and watch some Dawson's Creek, and it's just like a completely different song.
Yeah.
It's the same thing that happened with The Wonder Years when it first went onto streaming. They had the Little Help with My Friends song for the theme song, but it was like a different version. And so it felt like slightly off, and you couldn't really tell why if you hadn't watched it in a long time.
Yeah, it's like you bought one of those knockoff VHSs. It's like Pinocchio, but it's like a different Pinocchio made in like Russia.
It's Roberto Benigni's Pinocchio.
Oh, no. Not that one.
But that does wrap up the Brooke Shields episode, which I loved as a concept and in the payoff. But, Sam didn't like as much.
It was, it was what it was.
I do like the very end, Statler and Waldorf. There's a noise, and they say, "What's that noise?" And he said, "I think it's Lewis Carroll turning over in his grave."
That was pretty good.
But then on October 25th, 1980, we get the Tony Randall episode of The Muppet Show, which, in that sentence, sounds less exciting than I think it actually is.
I thought who's that old guy that Lady Gaga has been singing with for a while?
Tony Bennett.
That's who I thought this was going to be.
Nope.
And then when this guy walked out, I was like, I don't know who this is.
He looks familiar to
me. You were telling me like, oh, Tony Randall sings in this episode. Gross. And I was like, that's like the whole thing he does.
He's a singer.
Yeah.
No,
Tony Bennett would have been a cool guest, right?
He's on Muppets Tonight. So we'll eventually get to see some Tony Bennett with the Muppets.
Did he not take off until he was like 1,000 years old? Is that what?
No, I think he's just been famous for 1,000 years.
Okay. Why is this exciting to you?
I love this episode. I give it 4.5 stars. Sam,
I gave it 2 stars.
Wow. Yeah. No. I from the moment it starts, I'm like, you know what? Tony Randall is acting his ass off in this. I think he feels like. To me, he feels like a legit character in this episode, as opposed to a lot of people who feel like the actor trying to play a character. Like, I feel like he taps into whatever comedic roots he has and fully feels like he regrets the decisions he makes in this episode by accidentally turning Piggy into stone and when he's trying to be sneaky and interact with the characters. I just, love the way he performs his role in this episode.
I know this has happened before, but for some reason the only example I can think of is Kenny Rogers, who just seemed like he lived at the Muppet Studio and was their handyman.
Yeah, and I loved that. I do like when they seem like legitimately not just like, oh yes, I'm the celebrity of the week. Nice to see you.
Yeah, I guess I could get that. I wasn't thinking about that while I was watching the episode, but
did you have the moment at the beginning of this episode that I had? Where you realized where Pops is sitting?
Pops is sitting at the bottom of the stairs up into the theater. I always thought he was sitting where that door that opens at the top and bottom was.
Oh, see, and I always thought Pops was off to the left in that area that Kermit used to hang out in.
That's the same area I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
I think.
No, I don't know. Maybe we're picturing different things, or the same thing in different places. But I'm thinking of the place where Kermit had like a little desk off to the side of the set that he used more in like season 1 and season 2, where there was like a little door behind him while he was like sitting at a desk figuring things out.
If you pan the camera slightly over, there's a door that opens at the top and bottom in that same little nook. I know what you're talking. I'm pretty sure it's the same place.
What do you mean top and bottom?
There's a door that opens like a barn door, where the top will open, and sometimes somebody would
yes, we are talking about the same thing. When you were saying top and bottom, I thought you meant like at the top of the stairs or the bottom, and I just couldn't figure it out. So yes,
two places open. That is where
like
I
a Mr. Ed
was.
door.
Yeah. It makes more sense for him to be down at the bottom of the stairs checking people in.
Makes total sense because that's where we've seen almost every guest star enter and exit the building from. Every time we have seen Pops, I have never pictured him down that little staircase.
I also I realize I identify heavily with Pops in that he has no idea who anybody is who comes in.
I don't think he's recognized a single person yet.
Yeah. Once they tell him their name, he's like, oh, right.
But I think he's also, it seems like he's doing that in the way of like, oh, yes, of course, Tony Randall. Yes, that's a name I know.
Yeah.
The moment like they cut to the wide shot of Tony Randall looking up the stairs, I was like, wait a minute. Pops has been just hanging out there this whole time and no one's interacted with him this season
for the last 5 years.
Yeah, presumably. I also liked in the background when they cut to that shot behind Tony Randall, there's a poster on the wall it says live on stage, 8 feet tall yellow canary.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, so a nice little shout out to Big Bird, I have to assume.
Yeah. Another great Gonzo trumpet sketch in this one, I think.
Yeah, he's got a fish instead of his trumpet.
Blowing in the fish's butthole.
Well, I don't think that's where the fish's butthole is. I think that's just the tail of the fish.
It's down there somewhere.
It's more in like the middle-ish area. I don't want to get into fish anatomy with you, Sam, but their butthole's not in their tail. This episode opens up with a pig number that is surprisingly not racially offensive.
Nope.
Yeah.
It's set too far back in time to be racially offensive.
I mean, I guess, but they are.
They could have found a way.
They totally could have found a way. I would not have been surprised. But they are singing Yakety Yak, and for some reason, they're cavemen.
Yep. There's no yaks in this or anything.
I guess I didn't even think about that. That would have been great. They had a GNU in one of the previous episodes with Roger Moore. They could have just threw some fur on that GNU and had a yak.
Nobody really knows what a yak looks like.
No.
So they could have done anything they wanted.
My knowledge of yaks is Ace Ventura's impression of a yak in Ace Ventura 2, When Nature Calls.
Let's both draw what we think a yak looks like.
Okay. I'm going to get this, and then we're going to have to look up a picture of a yak to see if we're right. Uh-oh. That seems like a mistake. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. I think yours is what I drew.
That's adorable, Matt. I don't think any animals have horns like that in real life.
Well, let's look up a yak right now on the podcast and see how close we are to what a yak is. I think you're pretty close.
I nailed it.
It's a fuzzy cow.
Yeah.
I think that's what I was picturing, and I just didn't realize it on the page.
It's a buffalo who's got a lion cut, kind of. There's no compelling reason for them to be cavemen here, but I like it. And when that dinosaur at the end came on, I was clapping my hands. I love that guy. I don't even know how they do that.
Yeah, I don't know if he's like maybe similar to the way that they did the front of the Viking ship. The last batch of episodes, where maybe it's like a really long, Rizzo type like trigger puppet,
right?
But I don't really know, which I'm happy to not know. The only reason I can think of this being cavemen is for the joke at the very end where Statler and Waldorf say that they love rock music.
Yeah,
and so they maybe like reverse engineered that joke where they're like, let's do a rock song, like a throwback rock and roll hit, and then add cavemen because rocks. I'm not saying it's a good one. I'm just saying I think what happened.
I think you're probably right. Okay, so the joke was, I didn't know they had rock music back then. Why do you think they call it the Stone Age?
Oh, that's what the joke is.
I think the joke should have been, I didn't know they had music like that in the Stone Age, and then the other one would say, why do you think they call it rock music?
Yes, that is a better
joke. Doesn't that make more
Yes.
sense?
Yeah. Nope.
Get me in that writer's room. Come on.
Time machine.
The joke's backwards.
But I did want to note, partially because it was just his birthday yesterday, Dave Goelz is great in this as Zoot. Anytime Zoot is on screen, I think he's just, I think he's an underrated Muppet.
I think a lot of people love Zoot. I think Zoot's
I think so too, but I feel like we often talk about Jim and Frank and their characters on this, but we don't often credit Dave Goelz's Gonzo or any of his other characters that outright on this show. So I just wanted to give him a little moment of recognition.
Was he anybody on Sesame Street?
I don't think Dave Goelz. I mean, probably at some point, but I don't know if he's regularly done voices on there.
That's interesting. Because I feel like, who's Scooter?
Richard Hunt.
He really gets to shine on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
But Dave Goelz doesn't really and he gets to shine as Gonzo, of course, but it's interesting to me that he doesn't have a character on Sesame Street too.
Yeah. But then it is revealed that Tony Randall has a magic spell book that he just happens to be reading near Miss Piggy.
He's never seen Evil Dead. You're not supposed to do this.
And he does turn Miss Piggy into stone, which becomes the main problem of this entire episode, is that Miss Piggy has been turned to stone, and Tony Randall is trying to hide the fact that he turned the star of the show into a statue.
A living statue, too. She can scream.
Yes, you hear her pain while she is in her statue form. Because specifically to test to see if she is a statue, he chooses to take a hairbrush and break it over her nose. Then we get a Muppet string quartet playing just a classical music number. But then the pianist's candelabra falls into his piano, causing the entire set to catch fire.
I hated this so much.
Why?
I don't know why. It seemed so clumsy and very unclear what was happening exactly, especially with the two people with the violin type things kept poking each other.
Yeah.
There was too much going on, and the piano exploded at the end. Why did the piano explode at the end?
Because it's a Muppet sketch and it had to.
I guess so. This is just this could put me in a sour mood because I thought it was so clumsy.
Yeah, see, I enjoyed it in a sort of passive way where I was like, yeah, this makes sense for the Muppets, but it didn't, necessarily wow me.
Maybe if I'd seen these guys, maybe if these guys were on a lot and something like this was happening, I'd be like, oh, those guys are at it again. But for this to be the one thing that they ever do, because it's this is a good avenue for jokes, is a stuffy string quartet. Well,
and you could have had, Crazy Harry or something come out and be the cause of some of their troubles, but
yeah,
we haven't seen that guy in forever.
No, he's been banned for a while. He's also on sabbatical.
I mean, he was in one season 4 episode, and he's only going to be in 2 season 5 episodes, so we have not seen him in quite a while. I think the next scene where Tony Randall's sneaking around trying to get Miss Piggy statue out of the theater and into his trunk is the scene that really made me notice his acting chops and really decide that I liked him a lot on the Muppet Show.
I just didn't. I'm gonna have to watch it again because I wasn't thinking about that at all.
I think
I was looking too hard at the Miss Piggy statue, and watching it move and thinking about how they made it and how annoying it would be to carve a whole Miss Piggy and then just spray paint it gray.
I was recently preparing for our, upcoming later this year Great Muppet Caper episode, and reading about how they did the Miss Piggy that needed to go underwater and all the trials and tribulations of preparing a puppet to go underwater and how they ended up making 40 different Miss Piggy heads so that way they could ruin one and then just toss on another one. But yeah, that's I do like when they have these one-off Muppets because it's just sitting in a factory somewhere of just oh yeah, we have that old statue piggy somewhere. We need to put it in a museum or on display or something.
It's in somebody's house, yeah, just creepily in the corner of an attic or something probably.
Yeah. But Kermit is surprisingly nice throughout this episode, for most of it at least, because most people around backstage are just making fun of Piggy now that she's not around to karate chop them. They're taking their shots while they can get them in, and mostly Floyd, to be fair, but Gonzo also joins in, and Kermit is there to say, hey guys, chill out,
She's having a hard time.
Yeah, she's literally frozen to alive inside of stone.
Speaking of karate chops, there is that scene where Floyd and Gonzo are taking digs at her, and she's standing there in the middle. I really thought that she would overcome her statueness just enough to give them chops, which I think would have been great. That's what it seemed like it was leading up to.
She was going to burst out of her stone.
Not even that, just as stone, she'd still find a way.
Fall on them or something. I could see her crushing Gonzo.
Yeah.
But Kermit specifically shames Floyd for making fun of a fellow performer. We don't do that here.
Which is patently untrue.
Yeah, we've done that.
You all hate each other.
Many, many times.
Yeah. Floyd does have a bad attitude in general. He is mean to everybody. And he doesn't like to do the stuff. Like, he doesn't like to play along.
Now, he feels like one of those guys who's like, you're not going to fire me. I've got some control
I've
here.
been here since the pilot.
Yeah. Remember sex and violence? I was here for that. I remember the days before Piggy was here. Then we get 2 naked raccoons.
Two skinned,
Yeah.
not even naked, fleshless raccoons.
Fleshless raccoons who are coming out. This is part of a deleted scene that is not in the Disney Plus version, so you'll have to go look this up, although I'd recommend you don't, because it is the worst part of the entire episode.
It's just stupid.
It's just Tony Randall singing a song with some female singers. That's it.
And he's dressed up like an old-timey college guy. That's like that's like a cultural touchstone that I will never be able to understand, is like the big raccoon coat with the straw hat college guy thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know. When this popped up, I was like, this looks familiar to me.
What is that?
But I don't necessarily know where it stems from.
People in college were wearing big fur coats. Why?
It was cold back in the 20s.
It was the Ice Age still.
There seems to be a whole article that I just pulled up called the 1920s College Kids and the Fur Pimp Coat Craze. So,
Will you send it to me?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I need to educate myself.
I mean, I'm not vouching for this article. I'm not saying this is a good article in any way. I have not actually read it, but I will send it to you because the first sentence just says, "Man has worn fur since he was living in a cave."
Hey, that's like the beginning of this episode.
Yeah.
Next up, they sing the song from The Lion King.
Well, nope, but kinda, yes. The UK
The song anybody our age would only know from The Lion King, probably.
Yeah, I did put that in my notes. The only reason I really know the song is because of The Lion King. But
Yeah.
the showman comes out to perform A Lovely Bunch of Coconuts, while Quango, the gorilla...
Throwback to the days of UK spots being very British songs that are incomprehensible.
Yeah. Which, I don't always miss, but this one was pretty good.
Yeah, I like this one a lot, actually.
Yeah, because Congo...
It's a pretty fun one.
Because Quango is throwing some coconuts, and of course the coconuts eventually come alive and join in the number.
No, okay, so I looked up what he's actually doing. So back then, there was it was a game where they would, at a carnival, they'd set up coconuts on... It was like throwing a milk bottle.
Right.
And you get balls, and if you hit a coconut, you got to take home a coconut.
That's your prize?
Because back then, coconuts were crazy, man.
So is this just an episode full of really outdated references that we don't understand?
I mean, this is from like 1900 or even before that. So
Tony Randall was just like, hey, I got a good idea for you guys. Which, getting back a little bit to that, the number he sings feels the most like anything like of a guest just saying, hey guys, let me sing a song because I really want to sing this. Like that
It's
energy
a vanity
just
project.
exudes off of it, and it's so boring and uninteresting that like I almost regretted that I went and sought it out and watched it because I was like loving this episode so much. And I like the rest of the episode because that's the only time he like steps out of that character that he's playing. So yeah, just kind of a bummer.
It's kind of the only thing he does on stage until the very, very end also.
Yeah. And again,
if you were in the audience in this episode and Kermit at the beginning said, we got Tony Randall, you wouldn't see him till the end of the thing.
That's very true. I feel like Don Knotts had a similar trajectory where he had a song that was also cut out of the episode on Disney Plus. So if you were in the audience for that and didn't see that number somehow, like you would just be like, Don Knotts was kind of not in this show.
He was just backstage whining a bunch. Yeah.
Then Tony Randall turns back to his magic spell book to try and reverse the curse on Miss Piggy, which leads him to saying a bunch of people from the Muppet Show's names backwards, including his own, Dave Goelz, Jerry Nelson, Richard Hunt, Steve Whitmire, and Big Dave Laser, who Rezel Evad Gib was also the Egyptian crocodile god spell back in that one episode. So they really like working Dave Laser's name into the show. The interesting things about this little sketch is that his spells do not work on Piggy, but they do work on Scooter, who he turns Scooter into a terrifying fanged, horned monster, a snake person at some point.
A terrifying snake with red eyes.
And then at one point his head swaps out with Gonzo's head.
Yeah, with unsettling orange hair on top. Gonzo, who's got Cheetos poured on his head.
Dr. Teeth gets a number in this episode here, which is great because we got the Barnyard Boogie episode where he's performing a pretty good number with the Electric Mayhem, but we have not seen a good solo Dr. Teeth performance in a while.
In a long time. Like, he hasn't done something like this since he sang that Money song and money was pouring out of his piano. Remember that?
I feel like he's maybe done one or two since then, but that was like, season 1 that he was really starting to do a lot of those performances.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully we'll get some more Dr. Teeth in season 5. I don't know whether we do or not, but looking at the list, maybe a few. Not a lot. But yes, it's good. There's not like a lot to say about it though.
No, I liked that it's not something Rolf could have done, really. Like, he could have, I suppose. But it makes more sense for Dr. Teeth to be in a bit more of Rolf's classy and Dr. Teeth isn't classy.
Very true. I want to see them like piano duel now. But again, they're both Jim, so it'd be hard to pull that off. Pigs in Space. Obviously, Link and Julia Strangeborg are very happy because the swine trick's a little quieter today than it normally is.
God, Piggy's always busting their balls.
This lady who talks all the time. But yeah, Piggy is there, but she is still in her statue form, and so she is not able to become part of this sketch.
Bust their balls. But she is part of the sketch because they can turn her back into a pig, and then they just forget after the sketch that they're able to do that. Why doesn't Kermit come out and say, "Hey, Strangeborg, pull that lever, the skit's over"?
He probably wasn't watching.
Oh, he probably
wasn't paying attention. He was too worried about what was going to happen next. Conveniently, for this last number, Scooter needs a statue on stage.
You can't find a fucking statue? What kind of theater are they running here?
They don't have any other statues, apparently.
No.
They only have this conveniently recently acquired Miss Piggy statue.
That doesn't figure into the plot of this act at all, really.
No,
it's just set
yeah.
dressing.
Tony Randall is reciting the green eye of the little yellow god, which apparently needed a statue nearby to sit on a column for some reason. But yeah, as you mentioned in your summary, this does end with some footballers coming in because they yell pigskin and they have a football that they're throwing around, and the Washington fight song happens, or the Wisconsin fight song.
Wisconsin,
yeah.
Come on.
Sorry, I'm not a college sports guy.
Yeah, I almost respect the amount of chaos that's happening here.
Well, I like how reserved.
The setup's a little sweaty.
Yes, the setup, very sweaty. But Tony Randall throughout this trying to stay the course and get through his poem while all this is happening around him, I think he's doing a great job.
Yeah, okay, I gotta hand it to him.
I think just rewatch this one and focus on Tony Randall's performance specifically, and you'll have a good time.
Okay.
But also you have to watch like 3 more Muppet Show episodes this week, so maybe don't.
He is used to, from The Odd Couple, being paired up with a slovenly moron, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of his wheelhouse.
Yeah, it's like what he's known for. But to end out this episode, that's not a thing people say.
No, it is now.
It is now. To end out this episode, Tony accidentally turns Kermit to stone, so Gonzo has to do the sign-off for this episode, which means that they had to make another gray version of a puppet for literally about 5 seconds of screen time.
He doesn't make as nice looking a statue as Piggy does either.
No, definitely not as good. I think maybe they knew that this wasn't going to be on screen as long, so they didn't need to spend as much time on it. But the Miss Piggy one is top notch. But that is it for the episodes we watched this week. Again, a little divisive. I liked them quite a bit. Some of my favorites that we've ever watched, I think, especially the Brooke Shields one. Sam, you didn't like them as much.
Didn't do much for me. They were perfectly serviceable episodes of The Muppet Show.
But now, that means it is time for our distressingly sexy Muppet of the Week.
Awooga.
This week's Muppet of the Week is, of course, Betsy Bird. We saw her previously. We talked about her performance at the World Puppetry Festival. But this is the one and only, as far as I know, and according to Muppet Wiki, Muppet Show appearance of Betsy Bird. We've been burned by Muppet Wiki before, who says, like, Miss Mousie's gone forever. And then it's like, she's in the next episode. What the hell? Unsurprisingly, Betsy Bird is designed by Mr. Michael K. Frith.
Okay, now it's all coming into focus for me.
The man responsible for the Sexy Miss Piggy calendars and the Sexy Miss Piggy drawings is the man who designed Betsy Bird.
We need a bird with boobs. Who do we get to do this?
Oh, Michael just burst through the door.
Yeah.
He just heard bird with boobs. So yes, I think nothing against Michael K. Frith, but he does like to draw a sexy Muppet.
I think he's a great character designer, and his Miss Piggy calendar and drawings are amazing.
Oh, a lot
It's
of his,
just
there's like a whole
funny.
category on Muppet Wiki of his sketches of characters, and some of his drawings of like Dr. Teeth and Fozzie are some of my favorite representations of those characters. He's also married to Kathy Mullen, who we've talked about previously, like helped out on Yoda and puppeteered a lot of Muppet characters through the years. But Betsy Bird was specifically designed for Betsy Betos to use because Betsy Betos was a dancer known for eccentric dancing, which is basically just like the wild comedic limb movement. She could do the splits vertically as she danced, which she shows off as Betsy. And if you're just watching it, you don't really think about that too much. But when you think about the fact that her leg just shoots up next to her head.
Yeah. Effortlessly.
Yeah, she's just walking around, and suddenly her ankle is next to her ear as she's walking around. And I guess it is worth noting, we will see Betsy Bird one more time in our viewing because we will eventually watch Here Comes the Muppets next month, where the footage from the World Puppetry Festival is used to be cut into that special. So don't worry, Sam. We will get to stare at Betsy Bird.
Well, it's the same
one
thing.
more time.
I already seen that.
Oh.
Her performance in that was sexier than her performance on the Muppet Show.
You think? She's dancing in that club pretty sexily.
You can't see her though. There's tables in front of her feet.
That's fair. You gotta see those feet. But yeah, there's not a lot to say about Betsy Bird, obviously. So most of my Muppet of the Week segment here is going to be focused on Betsy Betos specifically, because she handles all the dancing, the voice, and the choreography for Betsy Bird. While there are a couple close-ups in the deleted scene in this episode where Jim Henson was puppeteering the head. So in the scenes where Betsy is like talking to camera in a close-up, that's Jim Henson puppeteering that.
Is it her voice?
Yes.
Okay.
And yeah, Betsy also did some other puppeteering during season 5 of The Muppet Show. She was some pigs, a cow, and a singing fish in the Roger Moore episode. And she also performed a pig and Timmy Monster in the Shirley Bassey episode. So,
Interesting.
And she even performed some right hands for like Fozzie and Kermit, helping out, like assistant puppeteering on them as well.
Why? She was like well known as a dancer, wasn't she?
She's done so many things, which is why I want to talk about her this week. Because she also apparently, while on the Muppet Show, helped research vaudeville material and jokes for Jerry Jewell. Like, so they were just like, yeah, Betsy will do it. Yeah, Betsy will do it. Yeah, Betsy will do it. But throughout her career, she has served as an advisor on some animation projects, helping out with their choreography to make sure like characters are dancing in an interesting way. One of those was The Princess and the Frog. Helping out with the choreography. Basically, it seems like she helps out on choreography for animals that people are going like, I don't know how this thing's going to dance. And she's like, I'll show you how an alligator can dance. Because she also did that with the Coca-Cola polar bears. She was responsible basically for helping them sort of nail the poses that these bears could be in that maybe aren't natural bear poses, but could look good as a character pose.
Yeah.
And she also consults on real life movement in things like Cirque du Soleil. And
That makes sense.
she's also an illustrator who has been
What the hell?
doing lots of art throughout the years, including like children's book. And she has an Etsy shop where you can buy prints and paintings of hers. And she has been designing Jimmy Buffett's tour merch for the last 35 years.
Well, I'm sure I've seen lots of her art then.
Probably. But yeah, apparently Jim asked Michael Frith to design a full body dancing bird that would have a much greater range of movement than Big Bird. And so, yeah, they took the challenge on, and Betsy Betos is quoted as saying, "The Muppet Workshop built Betsy Bird with all those lovely feathers, shaped to fit my body, and flexible enough for all those backbends and other contortions that make her so eye-catching." But apparently, Jim didn't feel like the costume highlighted the amazingness of her performance, and I didn't say directly this is why Betsy doesn't come back, but it seems like maybe to Jim, this was sort of a failed experiment in really showing off Betsy's dance moves.
Yeah. I read that and was looking at her as she danced and kind of thought the same thing. It was like, the legs look cool.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of the body that is obscured.
Right, and I'm sure, when you see just like her as a human doing a lot of these back bends and leg going up by her head, it's like, oh my God, human bodies aren't supposed to move that way. But when you have a big bulky bird costume and Muppets who already do weird things with their bodies, it looks a little less impressive maybe when you're not really thinking about how it's happening.
Right.
But what would you rate Betsy Bird, Sam?
Oh, we're already at the end.
Yeah, that's all we got.
I mean, she's a sexy bird, but I can't really rate her too high. I like her better than Fletcher Bird. Don't know how many stars I gave him. I'll give her 3 stars.
Ooh, 3 out of 10 is not extremely high. It sounds like you dislike her strongly.
I think she's 3 out of 5. That's more than average.
We do out of 10 now, Sam.
Oh, 5.
I was wondering if that's what happened, if you were giving her a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
I will give her a 6 out of 10.
Okay. Yeah, she's great. She's actually looks like she's a very well-designed, attractive-looking, and not like in a non-sexual way. She's like, she looks better than a lot of other full. I'm going to give her a 6. Because a lot of full-body Muppets can look pretty bad, especially Timmy Monster. But Betsy Bird looks like a Muppet, but big, which is something sometimes they don't always.
Yeah. So, Sam, did you have time this week to enjoy any non-Muppety things?
I finished Strange New Worlds, the Star Trek series on whatever plus, Paramount Plus. I didn't like the beginning of it, but it ends pretty good. I feel like they found their rhythm kind of by the end.
That's the animated one, right?
No, that's no idea what that's called. Lower Decks or something like that. This is the one. Have you ever watched much Star Trek?
Nope. This is the one. It's like, is it set like in sort of the original series timeline?
Right before the original series.
Gotcha.
So in the pilot of the original series, there is a different captain.
Right.
Captain Pike.
Right.
And since then, that pilot has become canon. That Pike was the captain right before.
Right.
And then Pike shows up again in the series. He's like hurt and he's in a wheelchair and he like is immobilized, like a space wheelchair. And so this is kind of like Pike, it's about him on the Enterprise and like the years leading up to this accident that he knows he's going to have because he saw the future, and him trying to like come to terms with being a good person while also knowing that something horrible is going to happen to him because he's a good person. He's like saving people and gets exploded.
All right.
But it's good. The first episodes are a little too like Guardians of the Galaxy, like, well, that just happened.
Yeah.
But then by the end, they kind of dropped that. And then, we watched The Bear.
Oh, yeah.
Which I will not argue that it was stressful. It was also way sweeter than I was expecting it to be, though.
Yeah, that's the thing is like it's stressful and frustrating at times, but the characters themselves are generally good people.
Yes. So I enjoyed that. And it's beautiful. I thought that was a really good show. I probably watched some other stuff too, but I don't remember any of it.
I watched the Bob's Burgers movie this week.
Oh.
And I watched Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay. What'd you think of both?
I liked the Bob's Burgers movie. It did just kind of feel like a long episode. Although there were some like legitimate peril moments where you're like, they're not going to kill the Belchers, but it kind of feels like they might kill the Belchers. And I didn't enjoy my time with Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, I loved that movie.
I did not. Nope, just didn't.
Why?
That's like, it felt like the least for me movie I've ever watched.
Okay.
I felt like the acting was amazing throughout it, and some of the individual scenes and moments, I was like, that's great. But overall, there wasn't a single moment I was watching that movie where I was able to forget I was watching a movie.
Oh, I think that's on purpose, but probably if that's not for you, then that's not for you.
Yeah, to me, I was like, okay, I really want to be pulled in and care about anything that's happening in this story. But every time you like let me in a moment, you're like, okay, let's go do something else now and not focus on the characters. And it just felt a little heavy-handed at times. And like, I feel like 30 minutes in, you kind of get what the payoff is going to be and like where they're going with everything. And I'm like, oh, okay, we're really driving this point home, aren't we? But
I feel like they used that fourth wall breaking to like really explore the mom and the daughter. But
The mom and the daughter relationship, I think, ended up being a sweet thing, but it at the beginning just did not care.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think, again, great performances, some great moments overall. Clearly not a thing for me. And yeah, I was kind of bummed because everyone's talked about it like it's the best movie they've ever seen. And so I was kind of went in with some pretty high expectations.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the best movies I've ever seen.
I will never watch that ever again.
Oh, dear.
So before we go, we should probably let you know what we're going to be watching and talking about next time, and that is more Season 5 of The Muppet Show. We're going to be watching the episodes that aired between November 1st, 1980 and November 15th, 1980, and that means we'll be watching the episodes featuring guests Linda Ronstadt, Glenda Jackson, and Loretta Swit. But before we go, we also need to thank our friend Tuna for making the music for this podcast and Cassie Wilson for singing the theme song. Don't forget to head on over to commitment.com to check out our pin or our Patreon or just listen to the most recent episode. You can email us at mail@commitment.com if you have any questions for us that don't fit on the social medias. And you can follow this podcast on Twitter at commitmentpod. And you can follow me on the internet at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.